Just before the global pandemic of 2020, Ghana's economy was one of the fastest growing, not just in Africa, but in the world. But fast forward to about 2 years after, Ghana's economy is really struggling. If you have been paying attention to what is happening across the world in terms of country's economy, you've noticed that Ghana has been in the news. Is Ghana heading towards bankruptcy? Well, is Ghana bankrupt? Ghana is not bankrupt. That is not the case. But Ghana is trying to avoid bankruptcy, and they've been able to take some very important steps. What does bankruptcy mean when it comes to country? When a country fails to pay a creditor, technically that country is bankrupt. And in terms of debt, isn't really necessarily a bad thing to be in debt. It's just the way you manage your debt and the way you service it. That is the most important thing, because all the countries of the world are in debt, or maybe shall I say majority of the country of the world are in one form of debt or the other. Even the advanced economy of the world, the America, the China, the UK, Germany, Japan, all of these countries, they also are in serious debt. But they've been able to manage to pay their debt or to service their debt, and that is really what matters most. But when it comes to bankruptcy, it's not something new in the world, because there are a lot of countries that have been into bankruptcy and they have been able to survive it. But again, let me make this clear again, Ghana is not bankrupt. In order for Ghana to avoid bankruptcy, they've been able to take some important steps. One of the important steps they've taken recently is the approval of a 750 million US dollars loan. And this loan is coming from African Export-Import Bank, and this bank is one of the subsidiaries of the African Development Bank. And this is one of the steps they are trying to take to be able to stabilize the economy. One of the things Ghana is trying to avoid as well is not to go too deep into their foreign reserve. A lot of countries of the world do have reserve. It's just basically some money you set aside that when you have, maybe some issue, you can go to that money and use it temporarily until things become stabilized. So, and Ghana has been dipping into the foreign reserve. The foreign reserve of about 9 billion US dollar has slowly gone down to about 3 billion US dollars. Because of the issues with the economy recently, they've been spending up to 600 million US dollars every month from the foreign reserve. So which means that if that trend continues, then it's not going to be long before the foreign reserve is completely going to go to zero. Another step Ghana is taking is to approach the IMF, International Monetary Fund. And IMF, what do they stand for? They are just there to help countries of the world that are struggling with the economy, to borrow them money, and also to kind of give them some advice that will help them to stabilize their economy. And Ghana is not new to IMF. Ghana approached IMF in 2015, and they were able to get a 918 million US dollars loan from IMF, and it was just based on some three very important agenda. And one, to restore debt sustainability, and two, to strengthen monetary policy, and also to clean up banking system. IMF usually will come in and they will just advise the country about various things that they need to change and various things that action that they need to take to stabilize the economy. Not everybody in the world agree with IMF in terms of is it really the right thing to go to IMF? Actually, leave a comment and let me know if you know how financial system work in terms of countries of the world, and whether IMF is a good idea in terms of for Ghana. Is it really a good idea for Ghana to approach IMF? You can leave a comment and share your thought on that. But for me, really, when it comes to any form of borrowing should be used for development. It should be used for infrastructure. It should be used for income generation, asset, and not for consumption, because this is what usually happen in Africa. You tend to see, this country, they go and borrow money, and when they borrow money, the money tend to go towards consumption. It tend to go towards financing, politicians' lifestyle, really, or financing the elite of the country's lifestyle. And it's really very important to focus on development. And I just hope that this will be the case in Ghana when they get the help that they want from IMF. IMF is an organization that sometimes divide opinion, whereby some people just believe that IMF is just there to exploit developing countries, while some people just almost like believe that IMF really is a trap, and why some people believe that IMF is just there to help anyway, and they just help countries to grow their economy, to bail them out really when there is trouble, and to offer assistance and to help them to be able to get back on their feet. So in this case, it's just really divide opinion sometimes when it comes to dealing with IMF. So why will a country that's been one of the fastest growing economy in the world start to struggle? Well, this might just has to do with the global pandemic. Well, a lot of people will still argue that the global pandemic is something that affected the whole world in terms of it was global, so every country of the world were affected. But we still really have to think about the fact that some countries, they were more affected than the other. And maybe this actually brings a question as well, that maybe the countries that their economy are not really very strong and robust and dynamic, maybe those are the countries that were badly damaged by the global pandemic, and Ghana's economy might just be one of those. And another thing actually to consider is the trouble in Russia and Ukraine. So Russia and Ukraine, they certainly have that that conflict that is going on, and that conflict actually really caused a lot of shock to various economy of the world. And recently as well, Ghana's debt to GDP ratio has really been going up. And what is debt to GDP ratio? This, in the layman term, really just have to do with comparing your income with the debt that you are paying. So, and every country of the world do have debt. So, but you just want your income to be much higher than your debt in terms of like how much you are using to pay or to service your debt. And for Ghana, the debt to GDP ratio has really been going up, and that can be worrying as well. And debt to GDP ratio as well can send signal. It can send signal to investors. It can send signal to people that want to borrow you money for development in your country. So, and which if your debt to GDP ratio is too high, they might not really want to borrow you money. And this is one of the reasons why IMF usually be the one to go to, because they are the one that kind of like almost like the last resort when you are struggling to be able to stabilize your economy or to be able to get money from somewhere else. IMF are the one that comes in that want to offer you help. So why will a country go into economic or financial crisis? This is something that can be due to various reasons, and we can actually learn a little bit more about this through this video from IMF.
Why might a country go into an economic or financial crisis? Perhaps it mismanaged its economic policies. Maybe global demand for its exports, say commodities, went down rapidly, or it faced a natural disaster. As a result, the country is no longer able to pay its bills, like debt payments or public sector salaries. What does the country do? The IMF was established more than 70 years ago precisely for this reason, to provide emergency financing and help countries stabilize their economies. Without such financing, the impact on the country and its people would be much worse. Countries often come to the IMF when they have no other lending options. Private investors and banks may be unwilling to risk giving money to a troubled country. The IMF provides short-term loans at an interest rate much lower than the market. It also provides zero-interest loans to poorer countries. Because IMF lending is fast and flexible, it gives countries breathing room by allowing them to meet their immediate financial needs. That breathing space gives time for new policies to have an impact. The IMF works with countries to resolve issues that led to the economic crisis in the first place in a way that puts the economy on a firmer footing, while paying attention to protecting the poor and vulnerable. These groups are typically affected the most by crises. The IMF's involvement sends a strong signal of support among private investors and banks. This helps give investors the confidence to come back and invest. Regaining this source of financing further helps the country get back on its feet. The IMF currently has lending arrangements of about $185 billion with 36 countries, enabling them to strengthen their foundations for inclusive growth that benefits all citizens.
Ghana is a major player in West Africa and in Africa. I just hope that all this storm can actually calm down and Ghana's economy can become stabilized. And thanks for watching, and God bless.